Hey, Shirley fans. Last week, I had the opportunity to get together with the guys behind a new movie called What Rhymes with Reason. It's a coming-of-age movie where tragedy brings high school friends together again, and they embark on a quest to find a hidden landmark. An exciting adventure movie, but one that also addresses the serious issue of mental health. Please join me in welcoming our guest today of the new movie, What Rhymes with Reason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Surely You Can't Be Serious podcast. We are here today on a very special episode. Guys, we normally bring you movies of our past, but I'm about to bring you a movie of the future. We are here today. I am here today. Jason couldn't join us. He's having a fun time with his wife over the weekend, which he readily deserves for his birthday month. And so it is just me for the Shirley guys, but I am joined today by Kyle Roberts, Adam Chamberlain, and Gattlin Griffith, all of the new movie, What Rhymes with Reason. We are going to be talking about that movie today. The day this episode drops will be the world premiere of the movie. So guys, go to IMDb right now, look up the movie, push 10 stars on IMDb so that it jumps up in the rankings and everybody is aware of this movie. And then once it comes out, it's probably going to be like September. Is that right? That we're looking at
that. Just it will depend on the distributor, but yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at full national distribution on sometime in September, October.
Yes.
Fantastic. Love it. Okay. So we typically start with a history. I'm going to start with our actor this time. We've got Gattlin Griffith, who, I mean, you've been acting since you were a kid. Is that right?
Yeah. I started acting probably around 6 or 7. I started as a stunt kid. My dad's a stunt coordinator. And so the stunt community is super tight knit. And it's the type of thing where if one coordinator knows another coordinator has a kid, he'll just reach out and be like, "Hey, can your kid get hit in the head with a football and fall into a pool?" Those are some of my first introductions to set.
That's fantastic. So Gatlin's dad was a big stunt coordinator in Hollywood, worked on The Mask of Zorro, was Antonio Banderas's stunt double on that. Tell me what that was like as a kid, Gattlin.
It was kind of normal for me. It's my dad has a background, our family has a background in horses. Me and my brothers are 4th generation trick riders, which is like gymnastics on horses. So he used that to get in the business, and then we've kind of kept that up, that legacy. And it was kind of normal. You know, actors were always coming out to train, or my dad was always in Morocco for months on end working. So it was kind of, he was here and then he was gone. You know, the film business, it's like you go on locations and then we get to visit him. Like me and my family got to go up to Montreal or other parts of Canada when he was filming. So it was a really interesting childhood getting to travel in that way.
That's fantastic. Now you've been in movies that you didn't get hit in the head in. Is that right?
Yeah, I always joke that Gattlin is like the male version of Dakota Fanning or something, but doing all these really dramatic roles and doing very good at them at a young age, like Labor Day and Changeling.
Yeah. So you were in Labor Day. Kate Winslet, right, is in that with you?
Yeah.
Jason will be super disappointed because Titanic is like his favorite movie of all time. So he will be banging his head that he missed out on asking you all kinds of Kate Winslet stories. But so how did you transition from being the stunt kid to being the dramatic kid actor?
Well, I went in for a stunt audition and they were like, "You're too small." I was a very small child. I was like in the 90th percentile for a head size and 10th percentile for height. So I just had a massive head, but they were like, you know, heads read good on screens and you're a cute little kid. So here's an agent's number. And so I was probably 6 or 7 when that happened. So I just started going out on auditions. And when I say I started going on auditions, my mom started driving me the 2.5 hours it takes to get to auditions in LA. And I did that for a while before I booked anything. And then once it kind of took off, it just kind of kept rolling. And I got super fortunate to get to work a lot as a kid and travel.
That's fantastic. So obviously we've mentioned Kate Winslet. I saw that you've been in a movie in the last couple of years with Tom Skerritt of Top Gun fame and Steel Magnolias. Who's one of your actors that you've worked with that has been a big influence on you?
I'll probably bring it back to Labor Day because I got to spend that was like 2 months in Massachusetts in the summer. So my whole family got to come out with me, and it was a really intimate setting with Kate Winslet and Josh Brolin. And that's the film that really they were teaching me stuff all online, and they kind of were my pseudo mom and dad on that set. And I think I grew the most in that. And that set has some of my best memories of childhood.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So you have continued to act in movies. How old are you now?
24.
24. Did you go to school in LA as well?
I did. Yeah. My parents were super adamant about me finishing out college. My dad dropped out when he was just after 8th grade because he had to start working. And then my mom moved out when she was 18 and had 3 jobs and tried some college, but just couldn't make it work with all the stuff she had going on. So I went to UCLA and I just wrapped that up about a year ago.
Okay, fantastic. What was your major?
I majored in English and minored in film.
Awesome. Are you doing any writing right now?
I am. Yeah, I've been working on my own stuff here. I really like writing, and I really got to see up close What Rhymes with Reason, the script developments. I met up with Sean. I think I met Sean in person before I met Kyle in person, and really just loved their process of having an idea and persevering. And the script came through so many different changes. Like it really had a full lifespan of different lifetimes until it became what we actually shot. So I just love that process a lot.
Fantastic. Well, that introduces Kyle here. Kyle, you're an Oklahoma guy like me.
Yep.
You went to school out here. You got into the journalism side of things and have managed to spin that into not only stop animation, which kind of made you famous, if you will, but this is your second full-length motion picture. Is that right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that process. Tell me where you went to school, how it developed into those stages.
Yeah. So I'll try to keep this as short as I can. I was born on a cold night in March. So I went to
settle in.
I went to Oklahoma Christian. I loved it. I loved my time there and all the friends I created during that time and fellowship through all of that. And then right out of that, I was a videographer editor for the Oklahoman, which is our state's newspaper, and newsok.com for several years. Just during that time, I started playing with stop motion animation, made a Ninja Turtle stop motion, actually recreating the 1980s cartoon intro frame by frame with action figures.
Okay.
Because we wanted to, and kind of learning a new craft, a new art as a creative. I mean, we're just going to create, Right. So that's just kind of what we did. And they got millions of views and featured by LA Times and USA Today and Wired Magazine and all this stuff. And then we did that for a while, doing kind of our own stop motion, fan made, which all of your fans, I think, are going to love. If they go back and watch some of those stop motion, we did X-Men one and Ninja Turtles and several. They all kind of took off and blew up. And the number one question I get asked from press is, when are you gonna do a feature?
Right.
And so I was like, well, I guess we got to figure that out. So we made Posthuman Project. It took 4 years, but Matt Price wrote it. He was the editor at the Oklahoman at the time, the features editor. And so a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to put into making a teen superhero film on a low budget.
Yeah. So I got to watch at least the first half of that today, since we kind of put this together short notice.
Yeah.
And immediately I see the teacher talking to her students mutually,
assured destruction.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Talking about mutually assured destruction. And we just got finished doing our War Games episode. So I was like, I know where he's going with it. So it is a coming of age style movie.
Yeah.
Where your high school kids acquire superpowers at some point in the movie.
Yeah.
So what a great concept. I think it's I think that's fantastic. And then, so after that movie, you start working on this project.
Well, yeah, right after that film, honestly, I was not ready to do another film. We released that about 10 years ago at this point, and it was just so hard completing a feature on a tiny budget. I was like, I'm never doing another feature again. So we started doing commercial work for Disney and Hasbro and Mattel and Lego 2 summers ago, we produced this reality show for Nerf called Nerf House Showdown, which we filmed in Grand Lake near Tulsa.
Is that the one that you had the Jimmy Fallon intro on? Okay.
Yeah. In the middle of us filming, Jimmy Fallon talked about on the Tonight Show, and everyone was freaking out and texted me. It was like, whoa, okay, cool.
Fantastic.
So it's super fun. I mean, that show is kind of like a Big Brother meets like Dude Perfect or something.
Right.
And it's just so fun. But we just kind of doing all this commercial work for all these brands. And then we're kind of taking what we've learned from all of that, how to speak to youth, how to speak to families, but then poured it into What Rhymes with Reason. And it's kind of been on my heart for several years, about 8 years when we started this script. As Gattlin said, it's been a long process because it's a fine line. When you're talking, you're communicating with youth and families of, you're trying to earn the right to be heard from high school kids or even younger. And it's a fine line of trying to make something, one, that they can connect with, but two, is family friendly, which is really important to us. And the day and age we live in today, suicide is the second leading cause of death from 10 to 16-year-olds.
Oh, man.
10-year-olds. And that's new. I mean, the last couple of years. And I have a 10-year-old daughter. And so it was so important for us. Even this whole process when she was 2, when we kind of started this, but knowing that this time is coming and that we need this more than ever in our society.
So tell me about that development phase of the script. You come up with this idea. What's your inspiration for the idea?
The original inspiration actually was kind of loosely based on the book of Job in the Bible. So as a godly sufferer, and I think a lot it's this age-old question of like, why do bad things happen to good people? And I think a lot of people, we'd like to put things in boxes and either compare ourselves to other people or judge other people or all these things. And it's like, no, that's not the way God works.
Right.
So anyway, that was just probably at least the initial. We've recklessly abandoned that. To his
company is called Reckless Abandon. I just, for the people to get that.
Yeah.
By the way, go check out the website. Give me the website.
Yeah. ra-pictures.com.
Yeah. So that's Reckless Abandonment Pictures. So you are inspired by the suffering of Job, but this is modern kids.
Yeah.
And so once you have that story idea, who do you start talking to producer wise to say, hey, here's my concept.
Yeah.
Can you help me out?
So really for a long time, and I really cherish this time too, as Gattlin was saying, of you just really kind of crafting this story, crafting this outline, then crafting the script. We went through probably 30 different versions of the script, and really, again, the whole mission, and like from day one, it's how do we earn the right to be heard? And so you guys have probably heard me say that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if we're not doing that, then we're not doing it right. And so throughout everything, that's how I answered question 1 to 5 million to produce this film. And so Sean Thiessen is our writer, and he's actually my nephew, and he lives in LA and has written for a lot of our like Lego Voltron commercial spots and national spots we've done, but also series, like the series we did for Trolls, for DreamWorks. And then it kind of naturally, lended itself to writing for this feature.
It's great. And so once you have discussed this idea with producers, do you have guys that were along the whole ride with you for this process that you want to shout out to? Really?
Yeah. We had 4 producers on the project, and they're amazing. But for the biggest bulk of it was Sean and me for a long time. And again, I really cherish that time because until a lot of other people had hands in everything else, it was us just making this. Right. And I think as creatives, that's a really special time, even no matter how big a project is. So say even like James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy, I think he would say cherishing that time where it was just him or maybe a couple other people where he's working on the script is really precious. But yeah, Jacob Snovel is one of our local producers, and he's produced like 80 movies or something now at this point. Local Kim Dawson, who I'm a big Turtles fan, as you know, was the producer of the original 3 Turtles films in the 90s.
Wow, that's fantastic.
All kinds of Disney stuff, MTV stuff. A lot of my childhood was produced by Kim Dawson. And then Nathan Gardaki, who's kind of legendary in this area as a UPM, unit production manager and producer.
Fantastic. So when did you start filming? You've talked about the beautiful part.
Yeah.
when does the crazy part start?
Yeah. So we started in film especially a feature film, like it's really all about the prep, like getting everything prepped and ready to roll. We started that June really prepping for this movie, and then we shot in September and October of last year. And it was a pretty quick shoot. It was roughly a month of filming. But yeah, I mean, Gattlin, do you want to talk a little bit about filming? Like, what was it like day to day as our lead?
Doing an adventure travel movie on the scale that we were doing it on was difficult, like really difficult. Like we were constantly traveling to a spot, and we had new locations, and we had to get people from this part of the state to the next part of the state for just a couple days. And if we all didn't have a belief that this thing was bigger than us, I think it would have been hard to continue on. But everybody was so committed, and we had talked about this project, like the anticipation behind getting to do it was so strong that I think that's what really was kind of the wind underneath our wings to help us go through it. We did all of this in like, what was it, like 3 weeks?
Something like that. It was just under a month, because we only had, some films do 5-day shooting schedules, some do 6, and we did 5 just to try to save our crew the best we can. As Gattlin said, I mean, we traveled all over Oklahoma to shoot this thing.
So you've got a cast of characters. Let's talk about those guys real quick. Tell me about the casting process and how you got Gattlin. I mean, we've talked a little bit about that, but tell me how you got to him, and then who follows along after that.
Yeah, Ricky Massler is our casting director, and she's amazing. And she basically recommended Gattlin. She's like, she read the script, she loved it. She's a Christian and a believer, and she was like, I know who you need to talk to. This kid is amazing, and you need to talk to Gattlin Griffith. And so we're like, okay, let's have I think I called you that day of like a phone call, and we just started talking, and we're like, okay, let me do a little bit of research. But I was like, this is it. I mean, I saw even like in Labor Day and stuff, was like, Gattlin conveys so much emotion just in his eyes. Like, it's incredible. And so I just knew he was our Jesse.
Awesome. And so you've got Gattlin, he's in.
Yeah.
He's even kind of reviewing scripts as you're going through that drafting process.
Yep.
Then you have, what did you have, a cast of about 6?
Yeah, 6 ensemble that are teenagers in the film. Ricardo Hurtado is the comedic relief in the film, and he's been in a ton of Nickelodeon stuff. He got a start on School of Rock, but then this Malibu Rescue hit show on Netflix. It's like a tween Baywatch kind of thing, and glitch text and all kinds of stuff. And then Giselle Torres is in it, and she's kind of a singer-songwriter, love interest in the film, and she's a pretty big YouTube star, and so it was a good get for us. She auditioned for it. Gattlin, Ricardo, and Laron did not audition. They got offers, but Giselle and Juan and Katie auditioned. So those are other 3.
So this was my first offer, and I thought it'd be fun because I was like, oh, I hate the audition process. But at the same time, you're like, oh my gosh, they're banking on me.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you're like, I hope I am what they are anticipating. But Kyle was like from the jump supportive and collaborative, and made it to where you felt like you're a part of the thing before you get there.
It's fantastic. So you mentioned traveling. Where did you guys go? Where are some of your locations?
Yeah, geez, we went to Turner Falls, Wichita Mountain, Mount Scott area. It's Snake Junction or something. It's like in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, I was gonna say I've been to those first 2, but I don't know about Snake Junction.
It's when you see it in the film, it's this abandoned church building. It's amazing. We looked all over Oklahoma for this abandoned church scene. It was a big part of the film. So can we talk about the story real quick? I guess people hearing all this, they're like, "What the heck is this thing?"
Tell us what it's about. Yeah,
it's called What Rhymes with Reason. It's a coming of age adventure drama. If you haven't already kind of figured it out, the main kind of need for this film is mental health. To earn the right to be heard and connect, encourage more conversations around mental health with high school kids and their families. The story is that there is a tragedy that happens at the beginning of this film, and then Jesse and his friends decide to go, kind of have to make a decision and go on this trip into the wilderness to find this like legendary landmark in the Oklahoma wilderness, actually. And so they all do it. It ends up being this crazy kind of adventure movie, almost Goonies, Stand By Me-ish, kind of vibes. And really kind of discover more about themselves, about the darkness that's within them, and how to be there for each other.
Fantastic. Is the treasure a secret? Is that a spoiler?
Yes.
Okay. I won't ask. Okay. Well, fantastic storyline. So you're in the midst of production. Any roadblocks along the way that are worth mentioning?
Nothing can go wrong. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is really hard. I mean, I think every crew member would probably say different things. Like our unit production manager and our first AD would say the traveling, like Gattlin said. A lot of productions, you try to camp somewhere, for 3 or 4 days or a whole week or longer. This almost every day we were changing locations. Maybe we were somewhere a couple days. You think, Gattlin? I mean, that was maybe the most if we were at like Spencer area for 2 or 3 days and then we were already going somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Like we started at Spencer and then ended at Spencer, but all that the second act was chaotic.
Yeah. So then that was a tricky part as an adventure film, just going all over the place and still trying to make our days.
Okay. And tell me again how many days it was shot.
I think it was 18-day shoot. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
18 physical shooting days.
Okay. So you've got your 18 days in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
You're wrapping up. Let me ask this real quick because I should have touched on it earlier. Who do you have doing cinematography for you?
Yeah. Our cinematographer is Andrew Smith, and he's amazing. So he's been a cinematographer, director of photography for 11 years. So all of these commercial projects we're talking about, all these series projects, he's our guy, and he's amazing.
From what I've seen of the movie, it's very beautiful. Like I can't attest to what the story is anymore, but I can tell you that what I saw, very beautifully shot.
Yeah, he's really good. And a lot of that together, if people who don't know, is of course your cinematographer, your director of photography, your gaffer, who's the main person in charge of lighting in the film, and then our colorist. So our colorist is Alex Smith, and he was the main colorist for, oh my gosh, Mr. Explosions. Oh my gosh, Transformers, Michael Bay.
Oh wow.
Mr. Explosions.
Just some guy.
Yeah, for like 10 years.
Oh wow, okay.
And so he was our colorist for this film.
Oh well, that is
It's a big part to it.
Yeah,
Right.
That is fantastic. So set designer?
Set designer is Becca Bell. And so she was actually our production designer, so in charge of all set and art and everything.
Very good. But a lot of it takes place outside.
Yes, I would say. What do you guys think? 80% outside?
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe a fresh 75.
I was going to say sometimes that makes it easier and sometimes it makes it harder because you've got random stuff outside that you've got to get rid of somehow.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Can we 86 these trees over here? It's like, what? We're in the wilderness.
Yeah.
It's funny
Especially
how
since
much
Kyle obviously loves his colors so much, as you can tell based on his wardrobe today.
no doubt. I was gonna say it's funny how much nature you get in shots that you don't want in there to replace with other nature later on.
Yeah.
I feel like at least on like the audio side, because it can be so unpredictable, it'll change, but you want it to feel consistent, that kind of stuff. So outdoor stuff is always tricky.
Yeah, is there something
It'll
specific?
be like windy
whether
on
it's
one
crickets
shot.
or
Oh,
windy or
I mean, it could be anything. It could be an airplane, a train, like wind. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Animals, bugs, birds.
So Adam, you're talking now about the post sound design.
Yeah, I took a bit of a left turn there.
Right. No, that's okay. That's okay. Because it's a very good segue into it. And it's why you're here today. So we've got, all stages of the process. So Adam, real quick, tell us about your history, how you got to meet Kyle, and then how you got involved with the post sound on this.
Yeah. Well, I got into audio through music. I was first a musician, came up as a drummer, got involved in the studio side of things, and that really piqued my interest a lot. So I realized after a while I had a lot more skill and ability in audio than I did as a drummer. So
your email was Adam plays drums or something.
No, it was.
Is that what it was?
No, even more ridiculous than that. Adam really likes drums.
Not good at it, but he likes them.
That's like Hotmail from like 2002. I still use that email. But I think it was my wife, because you knew my wife Brianna.
Yeah. From OC days,
right?
I'm a Christian.
And so I guess it was probably just through her that you and I
think
connected.
So, yeah. And I mean, I think you guys were maybe dating, and then she was like, we were working on a short or something and needed to clean up some stuff. And he's like, well, my boyfriend would be great at that.
Yeah, because when I
sure.
met her, she was working on a documentary for her album.
That's right.
And so, and I did the audio on that. So maybe that was the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously this is shot outside. As you mentioned, there's all kinds of stuff that can be going on outside, but
right.
I think Gattlin said before we started rolling, there wasn't a whole lot of ADR on this. It was.
That's right.
That's impressive. How'd you do it?
The excellent source certainly goes an incredibly long way. So
yeah, so JM, it was our mixer on set. So would have a boom op. Griff typically was our boom op, and JM was mixing up to 6 microphones at a time. Live on set.
Yeah, it's nice to have something where the starting point is already fantastic, and that was the case. It's a lot of trial and error sometimes, but it's very much a by hand process to kind of knock out that stuff, and then bring in stuff to make it feel less clinical, a little bit more natural and smooth and all that. But Isotope RX is a huge part of being able to get like really clean, great audio.
Oh, very good. So when you started the project, did you already have a distributor set up?
We did not. So yeah, honestly, a lot of this process and fundraising and financing the film, because people didn't know they didn't know what it was. Like, is this a faith-based film? Is this an adventure film? Is it mental health film? It was like too many things together. They didn't understand it. And so we actually just said no from a pass, from about every major studio. And so we're like, we just need to make this thing.
Okay.
So we did.
So looking at September or October,
yeah.
What's the release going to look like?
So right now at this moment, we're still talking to several different distributors. Even when you release this, I mean, we might know, but at this moment, it's not sold yet, but we're trying to discern through, you guys don't even know about this, but we're trying to discern through several options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to find out where it goes. Okay, so you've mentioned mental health a few times, and we talked before we started recording about this program called 988. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so 988 started last summer. 988 is a big sponsor for this film, and they are America's mental health lifeline. So it replaced a 1-800 number that no one's ever going to remember, in an actual time of crisis. And it's so cool. You can pick it up from any phone, just dial 988 like you would dial 911. And if someone is on the other line, like ready to listen to you, to what's going on, and provide help, provide hope.
And so this is basically like the 1-800 suicide prevention hotline, right?
Yeah.
Except it's nice and easy, 3 numbers, and you're there.
Yep.
Beautiful. Gattlin, you had mentioned that you had some connection to this cause. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think, one of the larger themes in this film is mental health awareness. And me and some of the other castmates, I'll speak on my behalf on this, but we're young people living in a really weird time right now. And I think we're all being affected and maybe acknowledging mental health in ways that haven't been in past generations. I've dealt with some pretty severe bouts of depression and anxiety myself in the past, and I still do today. And that's kind of one of the guiding lights for me into this project, was seeing people dealing with these issues in a new way, and it being very upfront. And one of the things that is talked about a lot in the film, I haven't seen it a whole lot, or not in an organic story-wise way. So to get to bring my life experience into a project like this and share it in a way that's very vulnerable and is important to the story we're trying to tell was quite the gift. And I hope that what this project does is exposes some of the issues that we may be facing as a country, as a world, as a people that are young. And I hope that it engages people in conversations about it, stuff that wouldn't otherwise be at the dinner table. I hope that after seeing this, families might be able to say, come to their kids, or the kids might be able to come to the parents and just be like, hey, that character or that movie that we watched, I have felt like that a lot. And I didn't know how to talk about it, but seeing it and us experiencing that together, I hope that it gives more people hope to have those conversations.
That's fantastic, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. And to kind of piggyback on that, I hope parents are watching and listening too, right? So a lot of times I think today, even as much of these conversation we're trying to have, parents might say quickly, yeah, I dealt with stuff in the past. It's way different today. Youth today have not known a world outside of social media. It's been their whole life. And so it's just every single thing. This is maybe a weird example, but if we didn't get invited to a party when we were in high school, it's like, oh, those jerks, whatever. You might find out the next day, you might find out later. Most likely, a kid's going to be in their room alone, seeing this perfect picture or a live feed of some of their best friends at a party or at an event or whatever. And so just that one little note of rejection hits way differently today throughout their whole high school experience.
I think it's important to note for people that are my age who have kids, it's an entirely different perspective on mental health as well. Like I grew up and any kind of mental health problems was stigmatic. I mean, it was just,
right.
You just didn't want to admit to that kind of stuff. And so what I'm really glad that things like you're doing are opening those doors, because my own kids feel much more free in saying, hey, I'm dealing with these issues. Can you help me out? And I think that's what you're saying you're after, to get parents talking with kids about what's
absolutely. And it's hard, right? So like you break a bone in your knee and it's bone sticking out, like you're going to the ER immediately because you could all see that and you could all experience it. But when it's internal, it's much more complicated to understand. So what Gatlin's saying too, like if a teenager is coming to their parents and saying, I'm feeling these ways, for parents out there, just listen to them.
Okay. So there's always something unexpected or crazy that happens on a set that when you're with your friends later on talking about, you're like, oh, let me tell you about this. You guys got one of those stories or what?
For me, it was all of the cast lived together, and I never had that experience for the entirety of a production before.
All 6 of you?
So all four boys, and then the girls weren't far away. So at night we'd all hang out at the house and kind of decompress together. And we grew so tight so quick because you're spending 14-hour days with these people, and then you go back home and you spend the next 8 hours together. So I had never had a production before where I was so close with the cast. Like it was, we were brothers and sisters by the we had a telepathy of sorts, I think, by the end of the shoot, that I had never been that well connected with my fellow castmates before.
I'm
Man,
sure
that's
that was
so cool for me to hear, because so we had done this the summer before on Nerf, because that was literally the show, as they lived in a house together, and Laurent was on that. And so really, honestly, we were looking at budget and looking at some other things. So we got them like almost a mansion in Oklahoma, practically, which was really fun, but it was just one place, right? So we're like, either this is going to work or we're mushing all of these personalities together and it's going to be crazy. But I'm so glad, because I could tell when they were on set, they all genuinely loved one another. And so that was really cool for me to hear you say that, because I didn't know, all the insides of that. But
yeah, especially a project where you have to be so intimate and vulnerable and you have no time. You have 18 days. Like I remember some of the most dramatic scenes were up at the beginning. And to be able to connect with people in that way so quickly and that strongly, I think just gave us an advantage in being able to hit the ground rolling. As far as, this is a very deep, dramatic movie. And I think being able to be with those people in that way that early really helped us get what we needed to get quick.
fantastic. Any other stories?
I can't think of any at the moment. I mean, there is
Like
just a lot.
nobody fell down.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of stories, but legally I can't share them
Oh,
because, yeah.
okay. Well, that is my cue to end the show, turn off the mics, and find out what these stories are. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this special episode of the Surely You Can't Be Serious podcast. Be sure and hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button on your podcast app so that you can check out all of our future episodes as well. It's so great to get together with you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming and joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you.
Guys, go check out on IMDb What Rhymes with Reason. Go over to the Reckless Abandonment website and check out the other cool stuff that Kyle has done. You can, Gattlin, you told me you've got a project coming up with Zack Snyder that's going to be on Netflix. Is that right?
I just help supply the horses, but you can go check out Rebel Moon. It's cool.
but can you talk about the J movie you just did?
I will just say that I'm in the new Joker movie. I
There you
think
go.
Warner Brothers might be coming after me if I said anything more, but I got to do like an acting hybrid role. If you blink, you'll miss it, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
This is the Ado, the part 2, the Lady Gaga. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. The one they filmed in LA and then New York.
Oh, fantastic. Love it. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We will see you guys next week.